What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Lamont's Gym and Custom Knives Show, the number 3 podcast. Yo, in 2026, in today's time, with the internet and just your regular old everyday technology, everything, in my opinion, is a scam. So I learned yesterday that something about a world that I have nothing to do with whatsoever. Don't talk about it unless it's in the news. But individuals, particularly one down in Florida, was some type of man putting on a dress, putting on makeup, want to be a woman. And listen, these stories come via TikTok, which I don't have TikTok. Other people who have TikTok report on these things, so this is how I found out about it. So this individual had a come to Jesus moment, wanting to be a Christian. Now, this is a man living as a woman. His partner is a lesbian woman, meaning it's still a man and a woman. And when this individual claimed that he wanted to be a Christian, he started to get a large following on social media. Now, I'm not real sure when you become a social media star, how you obtain your money. Is it through advertisements, through clicks and views, or subscribers? I'm not really sure because I don't care about none of that. My thing is just to get the truth out. Whether one person listens to it or 1,000, I don't care. But this individual became pretty popular on social media, a social media star. Started to get a large conservative / Christian following. And all of a sudden, this individual said he's going to go back. Well, he was going to detransition, stop living as a woman, and detransition back to a man. And a lot of people said they were skeptical of this. So now the man basically says over social media that he's going to stay living as a woman, being with his partner, but pursuing, I'm assuming pursuing Christianity or whatever. Let me start here. Listen, normally I would call these people psychopaths, but they have got this stuff to the point where we somewhat consider this normal. It's not normal. These are mentally ill people, and it needs to be addressed. But the bigger issue, and you see this on a broad range of topics and situations. Like, I done seen 3 black dudes within the past month and a half that were claiming to be liberal. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, I apologize for that. You probably hear a whole lot of that within the next 10 to 15 minutes. And I do apologize in advance. Got some things going on, and it's going to be a lot of stuff going back and forth today. So let me continue. So there was 3 black guys that I know of, it might have been more, that were at one point liberal. They jumped on the MAGA train. We MAGA. And once you get on that conservative MAGA train, you get a lot of props, a lot of followers. A lot of people said, okay, you done got off that plantation. You're on the right side of things. Let's go. Well, all three of them were frauds. Just like this individual in Florida, pretending to be a woman, wanted detransitioning from his or pretending to be a woman back to normalcy, but he's gonna live the rest of his life pretending to be a woman. Just like these guys, it's all a grift. It's all fake. And social media is the perfect source for fraud. I mean, the perfect source of fraud. I tell you a lot of times about the people who I follow and I'm subscribed to over social media. And listen, these are people. They're not perfect, but I don't look at none of these people as frauds. I just don't. They could be. I just don't see them as frauds. You have to see the red flags. Now, listen, I spent the majority of my adulthood in law enforcement. I've been trained on certain things. I went to school for human development, the study of the human mind. Um, so I may be a little bit more versed than your average person, but still, these people who are grifters, they send up so many red flags. First of all, let me tell you something. Like I said, I subscribe to a handful of people over social media. Whether they're grifters or not, which I don't think they are, that's my dedication, is to consume their content, to like their content. Um, but when it comes to donations and Patreons and all that, I don't do it. First of all, only millionaires I'm gonna make is Levi. I think Levi made this shirt. I'm a Levi, Heinz ketchup, Hellman's mayonnaise, Tyson's chicken, and beef and pork products. These are the millionaires I'm gonna make because I have to have these essentials. I have to have food. I have to have clothes. I have to have shoes and socks. I have to have these things. Now, hell, I got uh, damn near $150,000 worth of Nissans in my driveway. Well, I had until my daughter wrecked one. But my point to that is that even though I really enjoy these people and these podcasts and these shows over social media, that's my contribution. And whether other people look at it that way or not, it don't bother me. No, one way or another, it don't. But if I consider these people to be somewhat legit, and that's my contribution to them, I'm damn sure ain't finna like, subscribe, or nothing to anything or any entity or podcast or show that I see as fraudulent. It's not gonna do it. So one of these cats, one of these black dudes, went to another country, and I guess his thing was to tour the world. Since he's off the Trump train now, he's back being a liberal. He's gonna show that the rest of the world is better than the United States. So this joker went to some country, not sure what country, and he damn near died of food poisoning. Stayed locked down, bedridden for a couple of weeks, sick on his deathbed. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it was a grift. I think that itself was a grift. Whether it's true or not, I couldn't tell you. I think it was a lie. I just do. Because that's what these people do, man. And social media, like I said earlier, is the perfect tool for fakery. And listen, I've told you the stories. Hell, even I had my son say, "Hey, Dad, if you really want this thing to to flow, you're gonna have to get on TikTok." Nah, son, I'm not getting on TikTok. I had other people say create chaos. Do like Antoine Daniels and that comedian. Have a face to face. Damn, they get in the fight. Let it go viral, millions and millions of eyeballs. Nah, that ain't who I am. Now, if I interview somebody or we have a conversation and that happens, I promise you it won't be fake. But see, I'm not about to have that type of person in front of me in the first place. Not on camera, I'm not. If somebody got a problem with me, hell, we can go to the back. We can go outside. We can have a discussion with no eyeballs, and we're gonna come back as men and talk about it in front of folks. But no, nothing like that for me. Because listen, that's not who I am, and I don't need to create chaos to get what I want. I don't. Do I want 1,000,000 people to consume my content? I do. I really do, because I'm just a small mouthpiece amongst hundreds that's trying to tell the truth when it comes to, being American, being a conservative Black American, being a Christian, being a former athlete, being a former law enforcement officer. I talk about all these things because I've been through them. I'm living it. I have lived it. And I'm not going to talk about too much that I don't really have knowledge on, like the LGBTQ, the alphabet garbage, and these people are pretending to be something and somebody who they're not. I don't have knowledge, and I'm gonna talk about it for the simple fact, it's newsworthy. That needs to get out. The truth needs to get out. These people are mentally ill. But to get to the nuts and the bolts of how these people operate, wouldn't have a clue. Wouldn't have a clue. Be right back. Boy, I'm gonna tell you, if I have my sanity after the next 2 or 3 days, good grief. This new thing that we got going on in the state of Alabama, when you don't have a lot of, well, I ain't gonna say that. Just this is not gonna be a good thing for the next couple days. So leave it at that. Yeah. Listen. I don't subscribe to fakery. I don't subscribe to fake people. Evil demons. I don't subscribe to none of that, so I don't want it in my presence. I don't want anybody who steals in my presence. You know how low you gotta be to be a thief, to steal? And I mean, hell, look what's going on in this country. You got, and it just ain't Minnesota and California, y'all. I know that's what's in the news, but you got, I live in Alabama, in a very conservative state. And we just had a whole bunch of women in South Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, and I want to say a couple of Mississippi, all to get convicted of either the SNAP program fraud, or that money they was handing out. I forget the name of it. Back during COVID, the PPP loans or whatever that was. I done seen so many women right here in the South, in Alabama, Florida, Georgia. Well, not Georgia, but Florida, South, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, all get convicted because they're thieves. I do not like a thief. It's only one human that I hate worse than a thief, and that's anybody who will miss or hurt a child. They belong in the same hole. But this internet thing, man, it's a beautiful thing. I think back 10 years ago. I wasn't thinking, well, you know what? 10 years ago, I did have YouTube. I took video. Matter of fact, if you go to Yeoman 3573, that was my first YouTube profile. It's hard to get back because even though I know the channel Yeoman 3573, I don't know the password. I'm gonna have to probably, try to dig into that a little bit, try to get that back up and running. But on most of my podcasts, I reference in the descriptions Yeoman 3573. So, and it's crazy the way I found that out. Looking through some stuff, searching for some stuff, I come up on one of my son's senior season football games, and it was under the profile Yeoman 3573. I said, wait a minute, that's mine. It had, I used to belong to a bike club. It had the bike club logo on it. So I'm like, wow. But anyway, 10 years ago, I was making videos, put it on YouTube. Didn't have a show, didn't have a podcast. But it was just, back then, YouTube was to me what Instagram is to a lot of folks now. I see a lot of beautiful women taking pictures, put them up on Instagram, and I love scrolling through, watching the pictures. That's a beautiful thing. Now, 10 years later, I love, doing my show, doing my podcast. It's a beautiful thing to me. You go back 10 years before that, 2006, none of this existed for me. I still had a Black Planet page, and I never had a MySpace. Never had that garbage. I did have a Black Planet, and maybe some other stupid social media thing, but that was in its. You know what? Was back in 2006, was social media in its infancy? Because I done told you this 100 times. You go back to the mid to late 90s. My ex-wife and I, we had a Yahoo chat, and that's what we did. Just like I'm talking to you now, we talk to other folks, but in real time. I guess the way people do lives now. I think you have to do that through some type of streaming service or something. But hell, we did it through Yahoo Chat. Shit, that's been 30-some years ago, man. So, my point to that was in 2006 was what we know as the internet now. Was it in its infancy? And probably so. Probably so. But it's been a wild 20-year ride for me, man. Been through a lot, done a lot. And now we're speaking on people and frauds. Was people stealing 20, 30 years old? Yeah, they were stealing. With this internet thing where, I think it's at an accelerated rate. And I'm not talking about the people who go in Dollar General and steal. I'm talking about mass theft. Like, these grifters on YouTube and Rumble and Twitter, these things, they get millions and millions of followers. And depending on the way they get paid, is it through YouTube or is it through advertisements, whatever the case, but they get rich. All because of deception, thievery. And that's unholy, ungodly, and y'all know how I feel about that, man. I just don't want criminals. Listen, I worked around criminals 20 years. From 13 to 90, I've worked around nothing but criminals. Most of my adult life. Whether it's on the street, whether it's in a jail, wherever the case may be. And I had to be around them because I want to get them off the street. I want to lock them up so they wouldn't be around normal people like you and I. Now I'm a normal person. I still don't like them. Whether it be, internet, whether it be whatever. Still don't like it. But anyway, before this doggone computer start crying again, let me go ahead and end this. I do appreciate you. We got some good things coming. And I'm not going to stop this, not today, not tomorrow, not ever, because I love you and I appreciate you. And as always, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, y'all keep him first. And I'll catch you next time.